Cognitive behavioral therapy is a therapy modality that guides us as therapists to help you develop a treatment plan. Sometimes it feels like the treatment that we're doing isn't giving us the progress that we would like. If you'll tune into this video, one of the things that you'll see are some tips and tricks on what to do if you feel like cognitive behavioral therapy is not providing the results that you want.
Any stories shared in this podcast have had names and details changed for the confidentiality of clients. Any resemblance to someone real is coincidental. Hello everybody, thank you for joining us for another episode. Today we are going to talk about what to do when CBT is not working. I feel like CBT is kind of the catch-all. I just recently had a client who I've been seeing for a while. Her mom was like, hey, do you do CBT? Like, yeah, that's kind of like, I think every therapist does CBT. It's kind of like the foundation of all of these things. And so knowing that, it can be kind of disheartening when CBT, like you see a therapist who does CBT and it feels like it's not working. So Cher is the number one CBT hater. So maybe she can tell us a little bit about why sometimes CBT doesn't work or what to do with it.
I'm not a complete CBT hater, but I think that CBT has so many limitations. So CBT is a therapy that's just been like really, really popularized, right? And there are lots of different kinds of CBT. CBT for insomnia and CBT for anxiety, like all of these different things.
I had someone send me an email about CBT for tinnitus.
Oh, yeah.
Which was really confusing to me, but apparently it's a thing.
Yeah. I mean, CBT has been found to be helpful for lots of different things. And so if you Google or ask around, people are really likely to suggest to you that you should do CBT. CBT is really, so cognitive behavioral therapy. So CBT is all about changing the way you think and all about changing the way that you act to try to meet certain goals. And it can be really super helpful. I'm not saying that it can't be, but I'm saying that it has a lot of limitations, right? One of the common interventions in CBT is that you're going to notice beliefs that you have about yourself, like a core belief. So let's say you have a belief that surfaces inside of you that says, I'm not good enough. And you can look at that belief and logically you can say to yourself, well, that doesn't really logically make sense, right? Like maybe here's this evidence of places that I am good enough, or that I would say other people were good enough if they were doing the same thing. And so logically I can get there. That makes sense to me. The problem becomes believing it emotionally. Lots of times when I have clients come in who've been through a lot of CBT, they come in and they know all the right answers to things, but none of it actually feels true to them because the therapy is not a body-based therapy. It's a therapy that's all about changing your thoughts and changing the way that you behave, but it's not a lot about changing like the sensations in your body and making them match. The idea is that if you change your thinking, it will change the way that you feel, but that's not always the way that works.
Yeah, I find that it's really tricky.
Yeah.
Right. Let's use one example we were talking about before we started this episode.
Oh no.
Hopefully before we started this episode.
We're always afraid of what Jaden films.
Keep it all in my blackmail folder.
Yeah. I told them that I needed to run and I should have brought my water bottle in here. And Jaden says, well, just drink out of my cup. Okay, like that's not going to happen for me, okay?
I'll post our conversation at the end of the video.
Apparently the two of you can swap cups just fine. I can't. And so if we were to take that example, right, there's going to be a lot of beliefs that Josh has around why he cannot / should not / maybe nobody in the world should share
it's like
drinks.
A moral issue at this point.
Yeah, we want to hear it. What are some of the
I'm not
reasons?
sure. I'd have to dig into it.
Go
Right?
see a therapist.
Dig into it though. Like, why can you not share a drink with somebody?
Friggin' gross. That's exactly what it is.
That can be a core belief.
Yeah, right? But my point is how easily or quickly is that going to change? It's not easy to change a belief, even something as simple as take a drink out of my drink, right? And so when you start doing things that actually have more meaning behind that, like I'm not good enough or I'm not lovable or people are better off without me, these are very hard beliefs to change, as evidenced by my I'm not sharing your drink belief that really in the grand scheme of things probably doesn't matter anything. But if I truly feel as though I'm a burden to everybody in my life, how do you change that belief? This is the idea of cognitive therapy, and I think sometimes why it feels very tricky to have much ground or efficiency in doing CBT, because it's just really hard to change the way you think about things.
And I think it's important also that changing the way you think doesn't always change the way you feel. We might be able to convince you logically with like research articles and whatever that drinking out of Jaden's cup is totally safe and fine.
Yep.
And you could believe that in here, in your head.
Uh-huh.
But you still might feel the opposite. You might feel like that's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that. And so, yeah, you can convince somebody in their head, I am worthwhile to the people around me. I have value. And I can believe that here, but it doesn't resolve the problem if I still feel in my body, like Cher's talking about, that I am a burden or I'm not worthwhile or things like that.
Well, and it also doesn't address the fact that you can sit here in therapy and restructure that thought. That's what we call that, right? Restructuring your thoughts over and over and over again. And by the time you leave here, you totally believe it. And then the next time that you get in a fight with your significant other, it's like you threw all of that out the window. And you're like, right now I don't believe it, like 0%. And then you get re-regulated again, and then you believe it again. And so then it can feel like just this like back and forth and back and forth. Sometimes you really believe it, sometimes you really don't. And I think that these are some of the places that CBT like kind of lets people down. You know?
Yeah. So if we're gonna answer the question, like, what do you do when CBT is not working? Let's say you're in therapy and you've been doing CBT, or you feel stuck for some reason. What should you say to your therapist? How would you bring that up, and how would you like change directions from CBT?
I think that's a really good question, and I think it's really important to bring it up with your therapist. Don't just continue to do it and feel like this isn't working. Say to your therapist, this isn't working. This is what I think is not working about it. Like, we keep trying to restructure this thought, and I don't feel any differently, or something along those lines, right? Try to step back and assess for yourself, what is not working about it? Why would you say it's not working? What is the change you're hoping to see that's not happening? So that's first thing, right? First thing, figure out what's not working.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that, because I think a lot of times from the client perspective, it's hard to bring something like that up to your therapist. Hey, I'm not having the results that I wanted. Generally speaking, my experience has been, as I've gotten to know therapists that work in this community, most of us are actually hoping that you'll tell us if something isn't working, because then we can help restructure your treatment plan to something different.
Right. Well, and lots of people don't know there are tons of options for treatment. It's not like it's CBT or nothing. There are lots and lots of different kinds of treatment. And so if you can look at what about it is not working, then you can shift to, well, what kind of therapy would help, right? What is it that would make this feel different? You know, I really enjoy using EMDR, because EMDR does still do some of those like cognitive things, some of the cognitive restructuring, but it really focuses on, does the way your body feels actually match that thought? And so just something as simple as your therapist shifting techniques could make a big difference for you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So the answer to the question is like, bring it up with your therapist, really in the simplest way. There's plenty of research you can do into other modalities of therapy. We have a workbook on our website as well that does this. We have videos where we talk about the different types of therapy and what they're for. So that's something if you feel like you're stuck with, talk to your therapist about it, because there are other options. Maybe your therapist is trained in other things, or maybe you need to see a different therapist who has different training, but there are more modalities and acronyms than I can possibly remember or count.
And there could also be other techniques within the framework of CBT that would be more effective too.
Sure.
Right? I think on a very nuts and bolts level, we talk about just change the way you think. One of my favorite, it sucked, but it was helpful. One of my favorite situations was a client was like, well, it just feels like we're arguing all the time. And so here I am thinking, well, let's offer options for restructuring thought patterns. And this client was like, all you ever do is argue with me. And I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't see it from that perspective. But that's exactly what that can feel like, right? And so we continued using CBT, but it gave me the opportunity to use different techniques. And lo and behold, I think we made some progress still doing it. So it's not just give up and switch modalities either. Sometimes it can be, now if I go as a therapist, there are different techniques that can be used too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If there's a
different-
problem, say something.
Right, different things that we can focus on. There's so many ways for you to get the help that you need, but you have to speak up and you have to think about what about this is not working for me.
Yeah, I like that. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for the episode, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks.
Someone please let these guys know in the comments that it's not okay to share drinks. Okay, thanks. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. We've got other videos for you to check out and more exciting things coming soon. So thank you.
I should have brought my water bottle in here.
Did you go get a drink?
You can take a sip out of my cup.
No, I can't.
He can never handle those germs. Are you kidding?
Are you kidding me? I
He can't
can't.
even walk through his house without shoes on.
Wanted to drink out of my SEO Nation water bottle
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
day, last night, and so he did, and I'm like, set it in the sink.
Drink it down.
Oh, dude, I might need a minute just to like.
Share a drink with I'll take a drink. Cher will take a drink,
And then
give
we'll
it to
pass
Josh.
it to you.
Would you drink out of his drink?
I wouldn't care.
Wouldn't you?
No.
Oh my gosh, I won't even drink out of drink. Like,
We'll see how many times we can go around, and whoever gives up first is the loser.
I lost.
Josh will lose every time.